Welcome back to the Housing Sector Podcast. Thank you to all the messages saying, Ben, where have you been? Well, on the Housing Sector Podcast, if there's nothing worth saying, I am not just going to come out and say it. We don't expect you to sit here once a week listening to stuff if it's not relevant. The other reason is you've noticed I put out some short content. And this is because about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I joined the world of TikTok, something I had avoided. I did it once during lockdown. I thought, this is no way to spend my life. But I'm on there and finding lots of insightful people. And Joanna is my first guest. We've found each other on TikTok. And Joanna, thank you very much indeed, first of all, for agreeing to come on TikTok, off of TikTok and onto the Housing Sector platform, a much smaller platform. Joanna, you started off on TikTok doing videos that weren't around housing, but now you're raising a lot of really important and valid points to other residents. What started you on this journey?
Okay, so I started my TikTok page as When We Talk We Heal. That's the name of my CIC. So it's all about supporting people through healing. You know, I did different workshops, open mics, things like that. And then from that, I ran in the elections, just gone in May, the local elections. So I spoke to hundreds of people, if not thousands. And I realised that we're all having the same issues. We're all not speaking up about these issues because we're too scared, or we feel like we're just going to be overlooked or ignored. And can I say this? I feel like more so I'm brave enough to come forward and say it out loud. And as well, I am building a page where tenants can support tenants no matter where we are in the UK. You know, I think it's a valuable thing to do, to have tenants supporting tenants, because lived experience is everything, isn't it? If you're speaking to someone that doesn't necessarily like have that background, maybe they're not in housing association, they've not got a council flat, it might be harder to get things across. But when you have that mutual understanding, I think it's powerful, it's effective, and you never know what can come from it.
You're absolutely right. And I do award you for your bravery. If there was an award, I would give it to you. And I have found that. And
Thank you.
I just storm in and say what I like. I've always had this sort of fool's bravery, if you like. But I do find, and I've had people who I've recorded podcasts with, and then they go, please, I don't want it. I don't want the attention. And housing associations, I think, also use fear. And I have called out my own housing association for emailing a young mum before Christmas to tell her that she's going to be evicted if she doesn't pay a service charge, when actually there's a legitimate dispute in there, you know? So there is a lot of bullying. Have you come across bullying firsthand yourself, or do they go, whoa, we're not arguing with her?
I would say more so when it comes to the contractors. I'm currently in temporary accommodation at the moment, but I felt somewhat bullied by them. You know, they were using my belongings and kind of just brushing me off. So I've made a series of complaints to which I'm not allowed to speak to that person anymore. Because yes, I do come with fire. This is my home, not just my home for me, it's my home for my children. And I strongly, strongly believe that what affects one tenant affects us all. Because if I'm having a bad day, it's going to have a knock-on effect for everything I do. Do you know what I mean? But getting back to the bullying, I feel like they sort of had me in a corner where it was like, oh, she's saying one thing, but it's not really that. We're going to do it anyway. And I'm not here for that. I'm the one that will speak up. I'm the one that will be like, oh, no, we're not doing this today. I'm going to report you to the highest person possible, until they say to me, all right, stop now. Then I know it's reached the right person. Then I know something's going to be done about this. And I just think with my platform now, I want to encourage people to use their voice, because you will be heard if you listen to me. But yeah, you will be heard.
Yeah. I think so many people think they are on their own, and when you're sending emails and getting responses back, you are on your own, and yet we far outnumber them. And we talk about resident engagement, and yet, you know, none of the housing associations, as far as I can tell, are actually on TikTok. And I found in my first week an alarming amount of honest feedback on there that housing associations could learn from, including obviously your own channel there.
Absolutely.
Why do you think they're avoiding that whilst talking about the need to be open and honest and transparent and working with our residents? And, you know, why aren't they embracing the cactus, so to say, and coming on TikTok and going, I hear what you're saying, here's what we're doing?
In my opinion, this is my personal opinion, They don't have that lived experience. And maybe there are other things going on in the background. Maybe they're being bullied in their position. You know, you can only do this, you can only say that. It could be an issue of some sort, but either way, there is no transparency. These are not honest people, according to me. If you're an honest person, then you're going to be transparent. You're going to tell the residents what they need to hear, not what you think they should be hearing or what you think you should be doing. We're suffering, many of us, in housing associations, in council flats. We're suffering in silence. And it's because of those reasons. There is no transparency. There is no honesty. I mean, we could ask a question, we'll get an answer, but it's not the correct answer. It's half an answer then. So, you know, you still got to figure out the rest and you're just assuming all the way through. So I just think it's a matter of having the right people in the right positions that are going to do the job properly. They want it to look good on the outside. So obviously they're going to say this, they're going to say that on their leaflets, on their posts and whatever. But although you did mention that, you know, there's not on Instagram, there is some councils have their page up there, some housing associations. But what I will say in our defence as tenants, our councillors are listening. Our newly elected councillors, so big up the Green Party. I have to big them up because they are listening, they are watching, they are commenting, they are sharing, they are reaching out, they are visiting tenants. I mean, they're doing the best they can, which is more than I've heard from any council or housing association.
Yeah,
And not to say that they're
I've
not
had
doing
actually,
it, but sorry.
I do think the Green Party certainly are. There's certainly got an interest in the local model in their neighbourhoods. And we had Zoe, I've forgotten her second name now, on the podcast. She was one of the Green Party members. And yeah, I really liked what they were saying. My fear is that they don't have the power, and it's easy to say all the right things when you're not in government, you know, and as Keir Starmer can now say, you know, when you're actually in government, it's a different story. But, you know, the great thing about the housing sector is we're not aligned to any political party. We will work with any of them and whatever we need to do. Look, you know, you're speaking to residents and you're hearing issues, and I'm assuming that you yourself, to a certain extent, have been through the complaint process with your own. I mean, you definitely have, from what you've alluded to in your conversation. You've been through the complaint process. But, I mean, there's just a lack of actual oversight, isn't there? I mean, the housing ombudsman is going to be 18 months at best. And by that point, the housing associations turn around and say, well, we learned from that. That was 18 months ago. The regulator of social housing is, to me, it's just a soft sword. You know, you may as well shout at the wind for what good they do, although they do in the background a lot more and are now reinvestigating. So maybe some good will come of that. But, you know, you and I, as much as we speak to residents, we can't solve their problems. What advice do you give them? I mean, because I'm at the point where you think, well, do we just give up, or do we do what you and I are doing and keep shouting? But for the average resident, that's not really an option.
Yeah, we don't give up. So I am currently, and I'm hoping this, you know, really does pick up and tenants see this as something valuable for them. So I am currently starting a support group for tenants. And again, that's across the UK. And you know, I'm a bit worried to say it online. I don't want anyone to throw a spanner in the works what I'm doing, but at the moment it's just sharing the information with each other that we do have that can help. Maybe it didn't work for you, maybe it might work for somebody else, but it's easy for them to overlook us when we come at them individually. But if we're all together, and as you said in the beginning, there's so much of us, we outnumber them. They can't ignore us all. So it's about taking action. It's about organising in the right way so that we can make some noise, make them pay attention, make them really listen, so that action is taken in the right way. And even though I have been through the complaints process, all of that, Acorn was a very good organisation that came and they stepped in and they helped, and they are really good at applying pressure, and you're not alone that way. So I have been recommending Acorn to help others as well. But I think I completely understand what you're saying, because it's, even though you feel alone because you're not getting anything back from them. Do you know what I mean? So it's all the way at the top. And even when I was campaigning, I met lots of people that did work for the council that didn't anymore. And even speaking with them, they're still not transparent. It's like it's embedded in them. Like they will just say things to you like, oh, you know, it starts at the top. It starts at the top. But how is that going to help me? You know, by just saying to people that it starts at the top. We know this. So we've got to figure out a way how to get loud enough so that whoever is at the top takes the right action.
I know. And it took me, I remember when I set up my Green Square Cord resident support site, I remember in the first week, I had a day where I got 12 visits, and that was such a monumental thing. That's 12 people that have read this, and they're from different places, and it's taken me years and years to build up a platform to get people, and now people are starting to listen. But you seem to have sort of speeded it straight away with TikTok. You're getting thousands of views, thousands of followers, and people are engaging with your posts. And I think that's a credit to you. Do you think
Thank you.
that the housing associations and the council, they're not really, they play the social media game, but only on their own rules, don't they? I did a little video today about how, there's you get a comment saying, well, why don't you come around and fix my bathroom? You keep ignoring my emails. It's, oh, please message us or email us at customers. And you think, hang on, you've ignored that. You've ignored it before, which is why he's now commenting online. And now you're recommending that they go back to that way. Why can't we get open and honest conversations, and why do you think housing associations aren't having these conversations with difficult vocal tenants in public on the likes of TikTok, on X, on Facebook?
I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't even know what else much more to say, because if they have a conversation in public with one person, then trust and believe, I will bring the rest of the thousands and you'll have to do the same again. But what they can do is publicly apologise. If the CEO of Lambeth Council came out and said, look, I apologise to everyone, this is what we plan to do, then we have something to hold them accountable on. But saying nothing, avoiding that, again, it's avoiding accountability, and they don't want to be embarrassed. It's quite embarrassing. There's thousands and thousands across the country that are suffering. So if one person does it, it's going to have a knock-on effect, and that's what's needed. And that's what's going to happen. I strongly believe that, if we come together in the right way, then these things can happen.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk about embarrassment, just Google Ruth Cook's name on people and find out why you shouldn't be hiding everything. Your dirty washing will be put on display. Although that's literally, not figuratively speaking, nobody wants to see Ruth Cook's washing on display. Please let me get back on track there a little bit before I go too far. One of the things you did, and it was one of your videos, and we'll make sure that your things, so people can find you on here who haven't already seen it, was sort of warning people against other sort of, they're what I've taken their own collective now, in which they go informed tenants. We're informed tenants, and they're the ones that do the circuit. They appear at tapas. They're part of the scrutiny panels, the customer, but they're all very well maintained, and they stay very sanitized. Let's use that. They're a very sanitized version of what we're experiencing. And your video sort of warned people about them, and this was something that I thought, wow, I got to speak to this girl, because that is something that I've been saying a while. And I don't think this of you, and you're genuine, but there are a lot of people out there, and there's quite a few on TikTok that seem to be building their own platform for the sake of their own stage, if you like, stature. Yeah.
Money.
Do you feel that? Have I got that right?
Absolutely spot on. And it's all money. It's what they can get from it. It's not really like, what's the end goal? That would be my first question. How is me appearing on your platform? How is that going to help me and everybody else that I'm supporting as well? How is it going to help? But I realized, a few people have, including yourself, has, reached out to me to do a podcast. And this is the only one that I've agreed to actually be on, to be fair, because I noticed there's little things going through this kind of disrepair energy with the council. You notice certain things about people, like their lack of accountability, the lack of transparency. And when that shows in somebody, regardless of what you're doing, it's a huge, huge turn off. But I think a lot of people are just in it for the money. TikTok, they want to press a button and send money in. This isn't about money anymore. We need money to fix our homes. This is our livelihoods. This is our safe space. We have lots of us are like single parents. And it's not just women that are single parents. It's men too. And whether you are a single parent or not, we have children that are watching, and they are suffering it with us. So as much as we're sitting here going, oh, it'll be all right, but they're seeing something totally different. So for me, it's not, forget the money. I can forget that until everything's sorted and everybody's sorted. And I can't ever just speak for myself. Well, I can when it comes to speaking directly to the council, but like just being here today, I feel like I owe it to people to speak on their behalf as well, because we're all suffering and
I
we're
really
all going
appreciate
through it.
you. Yeah, and we go through it alone, which is even more stress-inducing. I even kept certain things from my wife, and that was the worst mistake I ever made. Because by the
Yeah,
time I came to
don't
speak to
do
her, she
that.
thought I wanted the divorce. No, 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 no. She knew something was wrong. So yeah, and yeah, there are so many people out there, and I'm in a block. We've got 42 flats here, so I'm in a block with people, and they all, we all come together and work really well. And back to the podcast thing. Thank you very much indeed for making this the podcast that you've chosen to come on. And I might have said when we had our phone call last week, I've stopped saying to people, "Hey, come on a podcast. Do you want to come on a podcast?" Just because I don't want to be that person. I don't, I don't. But if anyone wants to come on and chat, I'm happy to have the conversation and to help get it out. Because the more of us that come together, the more of us that raise these issues, then together strong, as I say, together strong. We are
Absolutely.
really in this together. Yeah.
United.
Do you United we stand. I also think to go back to those informed tenants. Did you think there is a risk? And I've had this myself where I could have played the game and I could have taken a nice little wage and had a nice little patter and appeared at some events and had all that platitude, and everyone would have been going, "Oh yeah, Ben, yeah, brilliant." But I myself would have known I'd sold out and that I would then be told what I could and couldn't say, and
Yep,
we don't have that here. We tell it like it is. Have you had have you come across people like that, or have you yourself been
absolutely.
approached?
No, I don't think they're dead. Approach me to do any of that. Sanitize me. No way. That's never going to happen. And if they didn't know, but you're hearing it now. No, Joe does
Yeah,
not do that.
yeah,
But there are a few I've heard. I'm not going to mention any names. I'll speak to you offline about that. But there has been a few quite big in the industry that started off really helping tenants, and then it's just gone a total different way. You're just there for the optics and whatever else you can gain from it. And yeah, I've seen that with
yeah,
a few people, especially tenants that we're going through similar things, and then all of a sudden you can't speak anymore, or you're singing their praises when I know you're suffering. And a lot of it may be due to NDAs, but then a lot of it is about, I want to look good. I want to be in the front page. I want to be on the leaflets. I want my poster up somewhere. So it's just for small gains, really.
mm,
You have that money for a small amount of time, and then you're stuck with whatever you were suffering in the beginning. So it's not worth it to me.
yeah. And then whatever you put your name to. I know, and
Right.
I was called. I said, "Oh, he just wants to be famous." Let me tell you, that is the last thing I want. My life would not be well scrutinized under any public eye. And as all my sisters will say, you do not have a face for television. So that's the
Well,
last thing. And if
you
I
never
would,
know. You'll have purpose. You'll be doing
yeah,
it with purpose anyway. So
yeah. I'd rather be talking about Elvis Presley movies, if I'm honest. If I could have a podcast of my own choice, it would be something not related to housing. But I've ended up in this, like you have, by chance. We've been forced to, because someone needs to be having those honest conversations. Let's get
absolutely.
down to a little bit of advice. If you've got 3 points here, right, to say to our resident who is suffering the being ignored, faulty repairs, delays, unsafe homes, any of those, what are the 3 key bits of advice that you would give to them?
Don't give up would be my first one. And I know it's hard. I know it's draining. I know it's exhausting, but you cannot give up. That's what they are banking on. And the more of us that do give up, the more it sends a message to them that they can keep doing it. So don't give up. Reach out for support, even if it's to me, if it's to Acorn, as I've mentioned, there's a lot of information on my TikTok page. You can go and listen to that and see if there's anything there that might be helpful to you. So definitely don't give up. Absolutely reach out to friends and family and to people online that you trust for advice and support. There's probably going to be someone in your family or your network even that will reach out on your behalf, that can write an email for you on your behalf, that can take the phone call on your behalf, because it gets really exhausting. It gets to a point where you just think, forget it. I'm going to give up because nothing's happening. And I've been there for a whole year saying that until now. I'm just like, okay, this, no way, no more. So there's did you say free? We need one more now. So it
I
would
said
definitely be
3,
those.
but you rattled those off so quickly and so concisely. Let's add 2 more to it.
So there's that. I think it would be document everything. I'm sure I've said this online as well, but
Yeah.
document everything, every single thing. Take pictures, email yourself the pictures if you're not ready to, make a complaint or forward it on. Email it to your friends and to your family. Take note of everything. I mean, like the date, the time if you have to. Install security cameras so you can, I don't know what stage you may be at. You may be in the decant and you're worried about your flat. That's a very good thing to do because it's very, very stressful if you do have to be displaced from your usual home. There's that. What else could I say? Is that and join my support group.
Join my support group. There we go.
Group.
We've got 5 out of you there. My favourite one was just don't give up, because so many people do give up. And so many people
Absolutely.
go, whoa, this fight's too big for me. And, when you get letters saying we're going to, take you to court, it's going to be tens of thousands of pounds, most people go.
Let them take you to court.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them take you to court.
I said, let's go.
It'd be easier for you because you just have to.
Yeah, I tell you, in my first court appearance, the judge came on and me and my wife had sorted out all our documents, and Neve is so super organised. She printed for me, for them, and for the judge, and she put them in different coloured folders. And the judge walked in with my yellow folder under her arm, and I thought. And then in each of those sections were 3 sections. It had a top page that if you read the top page, you understood what was going, like a summary. So I knew she'd understood it. And she looked over at me and she said, Mr. Jenkins, I see you don't have counsel. Are you representing yourself? And I went, yes, ma'am. And then she smirked and she said, sit down. I'll be with you in a minute. And I went, okay. And then she spent 10 minutes absolutely berating Green Square Accord. It was one of the happiest 10 minutes. And I just sat there going, okay, yeah. Make a note of that. Couldn't believe it.
You barely had to do anything.
And I think
that's all. Sorry, I was going to say that's all because you had your stuff together. You documented, you did everything, and you didn't give up.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
My shit was together, as we say.
I'm trying
Joanne,
not to swear.
No. Oh no, we can swear on here. We're not here for children, we're here for adults that are dealing with children. And at the end of the day, it really does feel like, trying to get through to someone at your housing association to say, look, my own latest one is, look, there's a major water leak. We've got droughts, we've got hose pipe bans, and yet you're allowing a flood in a basement. It just doesn't make sense. And, they just ignore it. So, yeah. How can there be? There's no oversight. This is what I'm finding more and more. There's just no oversight. No one's accountable. If you can fail like many of these CEOs do, and then have your job on the Monday morning, I mean, I would have handed in my own notice going, I'm really sorry, I can't cope with this. I can't do it.
Right.
I failed.
It's too much. No one's doing anything. It's just everything's scattered everywhere.
Yeah. Look, we've got the 3 points. We've got 5 points for you for residents, and we get a lot of, because these go up on my Housing Sector website, and lots of insiders listen to this. So what free tips now to end the call on? What free tips do you have to senior leaders within the councils and the housing associations who are responsible for our homes?
Get off your ass and go and help the people. I think it's about listening more, isn't it? It's about being active in your community. It's about being visible so people know who you are, and then taking action. I think the first step that they should do is start speaking to tenants. Then you'll really understand, not looking at papers, speaking to them. Because at the moment, it's just our councillors doing it. You know what I mean? But if the guy at the top or the woman at the top, whoever's at the top, if they came down and started speaking with people, just have a little panel and invite the residents in. Then you'll really get the thick of it. Then you'll really understand why you need to pull your socks up and get busy. Start taking action. Stop sitting on funds and distribute it accordingly. We're suffering. That's what I'm going to say. We are suffering here. So please pay attention. You want your rent, you get your rent. But we don't get the repairs. We don't get any accountability. We don't get any transparency. But we suffer in silence.
No.
And we're not going to be doing that anymore.
The service charge keeps going up.
And the service charges. Gosh, service charges.
Yeah.
They're diabolical from what I've seen. And it's not always for things that, you are benefiting from either. So there's that as well. There needs to be someone that, kind of manages the managers, if that makes sense. Someone going over and looking at what's being done. Is it being done in the right way? Is it being done effectively? And stop giving out NDAs.
Who watches the watch me? Yeah, I haven't. I mean, they tried to issue me. That would have been part of my agreement, and I said no. I'll speak as I like. But have you come across many of these NDAs being given out to residents?
Absolutely, too many. I mean, nobody's going to explain because it's an NDA, but there's been quite a few. And actually, a neighbour of mine was actually on the news speaking about NDAs because he was told not to say anything to anybody else. So I don't know how they found out, but it's absolute miracle. So there was some justice there, but still the service charges are up to the sky, aren't they?
Yeah, and when they've got rent caps, I mean, the Chartered Institute of Housing, National Housing Federation, they all started writing, here's how you can now take that money that you can't get from the rent and move it over to service charge, and they've all done that. So it's all a playbook. And when we say about listening to groups of residents, they mustn't be this nice sanitized group of informed residents. They actually have to be the most vocal, outspoken tenants that you've got, because hug a cactus. If you need the truth, you're not going to get it from nice conversations on an afternoon at a little conference.
Right.
And they're
eating
on
cucumber
TikTok.
sandwiches. Yeah, they are on TikTok. That's another piece of advice. Go online and listen to the real stories. They're hardcore, but they're serious. This is how you've left your people that are supposed to be living happy.
TikTok. Yeah, amazed at how many people are on TikTok, and raising issues. What's your handle? How can people find you on TikTok?
Oh, it's at Auntie Joe on TikTok. So yeah, you can find me there.
Wonderful. And I'm on there as Housing Sector, as I am on all platforms, all the platforms I'm aware of. There are so many I'm not. Being a man in his 50s, I struggle to keep up with all this social media stuff.
You're doing very well, though. You're doing very well. I'll say you're doing very well considering you've just come. But yeah, so keep on. We both got to keep on. There's so much work to be done until we get to that stage.
And a genuine appetite on there for it, by the way that people are responding, and especially to your videos. So yeah, Joanne, thank you for agreeing to come on this podcast. Thank you very much for giving up your day on what is the hottest day. It's got to be the hottest day of the year, is it not?
No, that's tomorrow.
It's got to be. Oh God!
So far.
Well, we've got the total eclipse tonight. Maybe it won't come back out. Most people have been telling everyone you must wear your glasses. Not in the housing sector. I say I stare at the sun and the sun squints. Thank you very much indeed, Joanna. Have a lovely day.
Thank you for having me.
Stay in contact, and
will do.
I'll get your links on there now. How do I end this? Thank you, everyone. More to follow. Thank you.